We have a shocking Bengals trade update to go over today, and following what has been a crazy past few weeks, past few months of speculation surrounding Trey Hendrickson, a wild new report has dropped regarding a trade that not only is super intriguing, but has fans fired up. We're going to break down exactly what this trade is and discuss what it means going forward, as it has big implications as we inch closer and closer to the trade deadline. But not only that, we also have some updates ahead of the Bengals' big game next week. Ton to go over on this episode. But before we get into it all, folks, if you're enjoying the daily content here on Bengals Digest, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This is the place to be for daily Bengals news. Your guys' support's been unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still all riding the highs, Bengals fans, of course, the Joe Flacco divisional game win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we're going to take a step back here because some new updates have dropped surrounding Trey Hendrickson. Now, obviously, we know in the offseason, there was tons of trade talks. Even leading into the regular season, there were trade talks. And now more trade talks have started to fly even after the Bengals took care of business in the game just a couple nights ago. And there are a lot of different things here to go over. I want to preface this by saying that, there are a lot of reports, according to, Adam Schefter, there's been a lot of reports lately about the Bengals being open potentially to a trade of Trey Hendrickson, even though it seems the front office and, everybody, Duke Tobin, is locked in on improving this team. There's still, of course, the uncertainty after Hendrickson signed that one-year deal. But you can see this here in a new article. Dallas Cowboys are one of multiple teams that are currently and actively considering a trade to acquire edge rusher Trey Hendrickson before the NFL trade deadline. And of course, there's been multiple reports about the fact that the Cowboys are interested, the Lions, all these different teams. But the Cowboys have started to pick up. And this has all sparked following a new report that dropped from the Cowboys side saying there's nothing untouchable in our resources to help our team. And there's no way that I'm at a point right now where I would not do something because of where we are into the season. And folks, this of course all sparks and all speculating from multiple reports saying that the Bengals are open to listening on Trey Hendrickson. I want to make this clear. I do not think the Bengals should or necessarily will trade Trey Hendrickson, right? I don't think that's something that's going to happen right now. If they lost against the Steelers, the mindset was kind of, okay, blow it up maybe, trade Trey Hendrickson, trade everybody and move on in next year. But they won that game. That was obviously, we all know how important that game was to beat Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. 1.5 games back now of the Steelers for the, for the division. Regardless, the Bengals have a pretty easy schedule coming up here. But to see that now the Cowboys are in the mix for, again, you can see here the former NFL sack leader is interesting. Now, you can see here as well, Tony Pauline with the report. One player who has consistently been mentioned in connection to Trey Hendrickson is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this because there's a lot of different things that have happened. And within this article, this particular report dropped here, and this is ludicrous to me, but if the price for Hendrickson is a second-round pick, it's a no-brainer for Dallas to make an offer. In fact, to up the ante, the Cowboys could use the first-round pick they received in the Micah Parsons trade, which will very likely be in the late first round to raise the offer. This is where I want to get your guys' thoughts. Is this something you would consider? Now, obviously, Isaac covered a few months ago, I believe it was, a trade with the Lions before, during the Trey Hendrickson camp holdout and the standoff before he, of course, signed that one-year deal and returned to the team and returned to business as per usual. There was trade conversations about how the Bengals are going to trade him to the Lions for a first, a second, a third, a fourth, all this different stuff. We also have a new report that dropped recently revealing an offer, and we'll dive into some other things later on. The interesting part of this is that let's say, and let's give the benefit of the doubt that they give up the extra pick, right? So let's say it's a first and a second. Is that enough for Trey Hendrickson? The question then becomes, okay, will they be able to re-sign him? Is that something that, Duke Tobin and the front office in Cincinnati is going to do? Let me know down below, because that's what this all stems from, right? And the Cowboys do have a plethora of assets because of that Micah Parsons trade. Now, whether or not you think that the Packers stole Micah Parsons from the Cowboys or not, maybe they use some of those picks and try to get things going here. I don't think the Bengals are ultimately going to trade Trey Hendrickson. That being said, this is a conversation that has to be had because the amount of reports that have come out from Adam Schefter, both ways, really. Some reporters are saying they're going to keep him. It obviously is almost a game-to-game basis right now because of the health of Joe Burrow. We know a report came out that the aim is mid-December. Some fans are kind of speculating it's going to be much later than that. We don't fully know right now, but that is a very interesting thing here. You can see here the issue will come down to whether Cowboys want to pay for Hendrickson, who is in a contract year in the offseason. And of course, any team that acquires Hendrickson, or if the Bengals keep him, they're going to have to pay him. They, of course, have some other guys they have to pay. And Hendrickson right now is still injured, which is something that, I mean, not a lot of people outside of Cincinnati are, I mean, some people are talking about it, like the Steelers obviously were hoping last week, or rather Thursday, that, they're going to be without Trey Hendrickson. But like, there's been a lot of different reports here, right? And this is where things get very, very interesting. So I want you guys to let me know down below. What amount of what amount of draft capital would you feel comfortable with parting ways with Trey Hendrickson? Is the answer none? Because I know a lot of Bengals fans out there don't even want to get rid of Trey Hendrickson. I don't really want to either. I think you're better off paying him and building a more complete team around Joe Burrow, once he returns. And in the meantime, you have Joe Flacco. Maybe he can, work some magic like he has in previous years. Obviously, Jake Browning, like his time is up right now for at least time being for the Bengals. Work on maybe, bringing him back. Let's say he's available next week. He was questionable for the game on Thursday. Bring him back, see how he does, and actually try to make a playoff push this season. That seems to be the way they're going to go. Whether or not they try to upgrade the O-line, upgrade the secondary, whatever ends up being at the trade deadline is still yet to be seen. I do think ultimately the Bengals are going to keep Hendrickson, go for some trades to actually upgrade the avenues that they need to, which again, let me know down below what your thoughts are on what's highest priority. O-line. I mean, you could argue they have a need for a safety, cornerbacks. Like, how easy are they going to be able to get a cornerback is the big question, right? It's always difficult to get defensive players at the trade deadline. And then, of course, you can even make a case for a tight end out there, right? Following a recent scratch one of the other ones. So it's going to be wild. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. A couple other things before I wrap up. I want to dive into some quotes here recently from Joe Flacco following his, legendary performance against the Steelers with that game-winning, really division-altering game and performance by him. You can see here before the Super Bowl, before he is Super Bowl winning quarterback, Cincinnati Bengals Joe Flacco is a dad and a husband. He was talking about, and I want to dive into this because it's pretty, great to see as a Bengals fan, right? He's talking about how he couldn't wait to get home and tell his wife and just hear how excited she was for him about the game, talking to his kids, all these different things. I mean, this story is fantastic. And shout out to the front office, Duke Tobin, all these guys for being able to really, pull off this trade for Joe Flacco. Now, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I want to see how he does in subsequent games here. But a truly incredible performance for him. One that, he was able to get Jamar Chase an unbelievable amount of targets, unbelievable amount of receptions. Same with T. Higgins. And having a quarterback that is able to do that is going to be crucial. And you can see this here. Finally, the Bengals seem to have found a quarterback who can properly get the legs of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins the ball. And you can see here a recent, we all know Kay Adams. She came out and said, the Bengals are going to the playoffs. I said, if you lose this one, you might be cooked. They are not cooked. In fact, they're like ready to go. They are rearing to go to the playoffs. Something happened. They found something. Second half last week, all of the night. Joe Flacco giving Jamar Chase and T. Higgins opportunity to make these big plays. That's all the Bengals need. They need a quarterback that can, give Joe, you have the best wide receiver duo tandem in the NFL. You have the best, arguably, if not one of the best, depending how you view it, wide receivers in the NFL in Jamar Chase. Just get him the ball. We saw that yesterday. And for a Steelers team that pays their defensive, everybody so much money. Jalen Ramsey got cooked. You were seeing TJ Watt not really do a whole lot against a pretty bad, who has been pretty rough this year. Offensive line slowly getting better. It's going to be wild. Let me know down below your thoughts are, folks. A lot of different things happening right now. The fact that we're even in a conversation for, making the playoffs after everything that's happened this year is crazy. But also, these reports are going to keep coming out. And I also wouldn't be surprised at the same time if a Trey Hendrickson trade does happen because the Bengals decide, hey, we don't want to pay up. We don't want to pay him after this year. We'll see what happens with Joe Burrow and all those different things. But folks, that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. See you there.